I happen to be 93 years young. July 23rd, 1926, I was born down in the sandhills of Shelton, North Dakota, or Owego as it was called. And I was born the only first one in the family. My dad, Ted Hobie, he was a fiddler, and my mom had played the piano. Decided that I should learn to play a musical instrument. So he put me on the piano with a cushion on the couch because I was too little. I was only 2 years old. Put me on there and he taught me the C chord. So I walked the 2 miles to Owego School, the first grader, and I loved it. But my mom had taught me to read and write, so I had to sit with the second graders and teach them because my mom had already taught me to read and write. So when I got in the second grade, teacher got sick of me, so she jumped me over to the fourth grade. And by that time I had 3 brothers, Norman, Marvin, and Ernie and Jesse, 4 brothers. And we went to Fargo. Well, I was 5 years old and I had to play on B flat for my relatives. Can you imagine, 5 years old? Anyway, then that was my life. Down in the sandhills, we milked cows, we had chickens, and we had an old well, and we had to go out there and prime it by pouring water down it, and then pump the handle and get water. And our milk and cream, everything was hung in the well, and so they pulled up with a rope to get the milk and cream every time we needed it for time. We had no refrigerators, we had no electricity, we had no television, no radio, no nothing, or telephone even. We had none of that, but we lived great. By the time I was 7, my dad said, this is a sandhilly place, down the Owego, down by the sandhills. The sand would blow so bad, but we couldn't see in the house sometimes, the sand would come in so bad. So then we decided that he decided he was gonna move out, get to a place that was better. And so he went to magazines and he found a place up by Oaks, North Dakota. So we moved to Oaks, North Dakota. Well, he took a team of horses and the stuff that was in the house, all household goods, on a hay rack. My mom took us kids in a Model T and drove. Well, she couldn't find him on the way to Oaks. It must be about 40 miles or so. And so he stopped by a haystack. And he made a hole in that haystack, and he tied the horses up, and he slept overnight in that haystack. So he says, whenever you go and stay someplace, if you can't find a place, why, just get a haystack. And I got $1.50 a week. So then, the next year, that summer, I still worked in town then. I worked in town wherever I had, and I stayed there, and home to my folks over the weekends. Hard at the time. I really never was home again after 14. I started high school when I was 14. I still walked 11 blocks to school. It was still 10 or 11 blocks to school. Anyway, that was that would have been my senior year. And Norman and Noran both left for Lisbon. And so I stayed and finished high school, graduated from high school, and then I stayed there. And then I got a job in JCPenney store. I was a bookkeeper, and then I worked at night at a Red Owl store. I worked at night at a Seltzer Lumberty Company as a bookkeeper, and then I had to go to 6 weeks to Jamestown for college. And I'd been going with Miles, Hoenhause, and all of a sudden we decided to get married. Well, we got married, you know. That ended all my college and all my bookkeeping and all my stuff like that. And so then I went out to the farm. I learned how to feed pigs, cook slop for them. Yes, I did. I learned how to drive a car. I couldn't drive a car. And so he taught me how to drive a car, but first I had to get slacks. He said, you are not being on this farm with a dress on. He said, so I had to go to town, or they had took me in to get a pair of slacks. So that's my first pair of slacks when I got married, and I was 20 years old. In 1949, Harvey was born, and we got electricity here. My folks were living down over here in the valley, And my mom found this place that I'm living on right now, and she said she thought we should move down here. My idea with the next generation would be to stay away from, I've never drank, I've never smoked, and gambled, and stay away from all that and have fun things. Do fun things. Smile at everybody as you come along and make people happy instead of trying to be down in the dumps.